Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to our platform, Brigadier's Truth Hour with Coffee. We shall today be talking about the recently concluded talks in Islamabad between Iranians and Americans. Well, they have been unsuccessful, they've gone back home, and there's a stoic silence in Islamabad. But what I'm trying to tell you is, don't be fooled by the silence from Islamabad. There's much more coming behind this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, most observers observing the breakdown of talks in Islamabad will infer that diplomatic efforts have failed. However, they're deriving a mistaken conclusion. What disintegrated in that conference room was not diplomacy itself, it was the facade of urgency that failed. The authentic negotiations have not yet commenced, and comprehending the reasons behind this provides significant insight into the true direction of this crisis. The initial observation a seasoned observer makes regarding these discussions is not their failure to reach an agreement, but rather the rapid signals from both sides indicating a willingness to proceed. Such behavior does not exemplify parties arriving in Islamabad with sincere intentions to resolve their differences. Instead, it reflects the conduct of the parties engaging in the mutual assessment, temporizing and managing their internal constituencies. In diplomatic terminology, these discussions constituted a structured inquiry rather than a veritable summit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing in West Asia is a situation that strategic experts often refer to as a managed instability, a term that isn't usually part of everyday conversation. This describes a scenario in which two rival powers, like United States and Iran, prefer to keep things slightly tense but under control, rather than risk the high cost of full-scale war or a genuine peace. War brings too much of military and economic dangers, while true peace demands compromises that neither side can comfortably accept from their own people. Instead, they maintain a delicate balance, keeping the tensions going on for as long as they are needed. Choosing Pakistan as the host clearly shows this intention by the United States. A mediator with real influence, such as Turkey, Egypt, or Qatar, might have sought important concessions to facilitate this talks from US, and which US probably would not have been able to sort of give it to them, or not have allowed to let the talks stay the side which these people would have given. However, the Pakistan didn't demand anything of that sort because it wasn't set up to do so. Islamabad was picked because it could be guided by the US to their own respective outcomes which they wanted. When negotiations stalled, there was no independent mediator available to help bridge the divide. In fact, this was an intentional and not a mistake by the US, because the responsibility for the failure could easily be given to Islamabad and not to the United States. Well, there are three issues that caused these talks to falter. It was Iran's nuclear program, the Strait of Hormuz, and the Lebanese ceasefire. And these are not just random points of disagreement. They are really Iran's key strategic assets, and Tehran has no intention of giving them up easily. Each one serves as a powerful tool for Tehran. The nuclear program as a form of existential deterrence, the Strait of Hormuz as economic leverage over the global community, and Lebanon as Iran's regional stronghold. Together, these form Iran's entire negotiating position. Just like in any game, you don't reveal your full hand right away. And both seasoned negotiators and the American side understand this very well. Which means that the real question is not whether these issues were ever to be resolved, but what price each side eventually accepts for movement on each one. Iran wants sanction lifted and its frozen assets defreezed, somewhere in the region of $120 billion, and the return to them. America wants verifiable constraints on Iranian nuclear capacity and reduction of Iranian proxy activity across the region, that is Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. The distance between those positions is large, but it is not infinite. Deals have been done on less promising grounds. Well, here is a clearer view of the forecast that not many commentators are willing to state openly. The most likely path isn't straightforward peace or all-out war, but rather a long-lasting cycle of negotiations, setbacks, proxy tensions, and renewed talks stretching over maybe many years rather than just a few months. Each round will see slight shift in position. And when negotiations break down, it will often be followed by flare ups in Lebanon, naval incidents in Hormuz, or even new sanctions. Please understand, this isn't a sign of failure. It's just a natural process the United States of America dictates for its selfish strategic gains. It's likely to cause a major economic catastrophe worldwide. The true risk in this cycle isn't just the conflict itself, but the potential of a misstep that could derail efforts to manage it. Whether it is an airstrike mistakenly targeting the wrong individual or a naval standoff in the Strait of Hormuz, where neither side wants to escalate, but both feel that they must stand firm, or even a political crisis in Tehran or Washington that strips away the motivation to remain cautious. Any of these situations could turn a carefully managed conflict into an out of control one. History shows us some of the worst wars weren't planned from the start. They often caught everyone off guard. Now, what should we be watching for? The serious indicators to watch are not the next round of talks. The serious indicators to watch are not the next round of talks. Watch whether China deepens its material support for Iran, as that would determine Tehran's willingness to concede anything. Watch whether the Lebanese armed forces are given the resources and political mandate to actually contain Hezbollah. That is the unblocking condition for any broader settlement. And watch the Americans' domestic calendar. Presidents facing economic pressure have historically made their most significant foreign policy moves not when conditions were ideal, but when they needed to win. Similarly, Islamabad was not a commencement of that conclusion. Rather, it represented at most the conclusion of the initial phase. The authentic diplomacy, more challenging, more discreet, and predominantly conducted behind the scene, is only commencing now. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with me. Good day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Hind ki Sena. See you again.
Please like and subscribe.